Welcome everybody, this is How to English, Teach and Learn with Gav and Em.
It's a podcast about teaching and learning English as a foreign language.
All opinions stated are personal and references will be given when necessary. Possible? When possible. Which one?
I say where necessary.
Where necessary, when necessary and where possible. All of those things. Anyway, Gav, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Em, where do I put the music in? You didn't stop.
No, I'm sure you can cut it accordingly.
Cue the music.
Nice.
Okay, so we're back, and it's the second episode of the second season, or series, depending on what you prefer. And before we jump into the topic, before I get the ball rolling, before I kick us off,
Yeah.
Em, how's it going?
It's okay. It's going well.
That's good. Have
It's going. Can I say it's going?
Well, it's going to go anyway, but I mean, how's it going for you?
It's hard. It's getting hard. I think it's a bit repetitive.
Oh, really?
It's this is sort of working from home still and getting into that groove of every day is quite similar. Feeling a bit fatigued, Gav.
Hold on, that's the topic of this episode.
I don't know where you were going with it. I thought we both decided to talk about fatigue and how you're asking me how I am. Okay. I'm fatigued. So.
I thought we were going to talk around the topic and then eventually jump into the topic. But yeah,
we can do that. But I honestly, that's an honest answer. When you ask your students, "How are you today?" do they give you an honest answer, Gav?
I don't know.
No, it's hard to tell, isn't it?
How can I know that?
Well, do they just say, "Fine, thank you"?
Yeah, generally. I think maybe they got that from me because that's what I always say. Although I do say I am fabulous sometimes.
Oh, that's nice.
And I mean that as being a fabulous person, and I feel fabulous.
Which is true, yeah. I explain, I think, to some of my students that when I ask that question, I want a real answer.
Well, what's the funniest answer you've ever had then?
The funniest answer?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. You ask me these questions, like, just out of nowhere.
Am I putting you on the spot?
You are.
Was it out of the blue?
Yeah.
Like all my expressions today.
I've got a memory of, like, a goldfish where I only remember the last couple of days.
Okay.
Somebody said to me, "I'm broken."
Broken?
Yeah, I think he meant he was tired, but it came out as he's broken.
Like worn out.
Yeah, that would have been a good one to say, actually. But I don't think we usually say "I'm broken." We usually say, "Yeah, I'm worn out. I'm tired.
I'm exhausted. I'm shattered."
Shattered. See, it's a synonym, isn't it, with
Yeah.
broken? So I get what he was talking about, but couldn't quite get the right phrase.
That often happens when teaching. You sort of a couple of hours later, you suddenly realise what the student was trying to say.
Yeah, it's like teacher brain. When you're in the zone, you can't always understand the word.
Do you think it's the same for students? Afterwards, they think, "Oh, I meant to say that word to my teacher."
Probably, yeah. I think it's just human nature. After any situation, you reflect and think, "Oh, yeah, that would have been good.
I could have done that better.
I should have said ...
Okay, well, on reflection. But moving on, fatigue. What is fatigue for you, Em?
It's
a nice word, isn't it?
It's a lovely word.
People
it's
often
French,
say
isn't it?
Fatigue. And I
Fatigue,
say,
yeah.
no, it's fatigue.
It's a hard one to pronounce. Fatigue, it's tiredness, it's boredom, it's needing a break from something that is going on and on. Have you looked it up in the dictionary before the lesson?
No.
We're not teaching. I'm not teaching. This is not a lesson.
I didn't even notice you said lesson then. Oh, goodness me. Maybe we're both fatigued.
You know when you're fatigued because you start making mistakes.
Did you say fatigued?
Fatigued. I think I said fatigued. But you do know when you're not firing on all cylinders is when you start recognizing these little slips, like language slips, and you just start saying things that don't make sense.
Okay.
Or you forget the word, and
Like there are a lot of people.
oh well, I do that generally anyway. I
Oh, is
don't.
it?
It's not about a fatigue thing, but I'll say, can you take the milk out of the oven, stuff like that, instead
Oh.
of the fridge.
Ah.
It's like my brain is trying to tell me to stop talking. Just have a break.
Well, you talk a lot because that is your job, essentially.
Yeah.
Talking, asking questions, getting answers.
Yeah, so I think that's when your brain starts to shut down a bit, and you're not quite as fluent as you used to be. And I suppose students the same if you're tired. But yeah, I definitely get that at the end of the week.
So fatigue, what are the signs of fatigue? You said not being able to express yourself very clearly.
Yeah. Tongue-tied, waffling. You can't focus and you can't keep track of what you were saying. You lose track. You're just tired. You just crave a break. Everything is telling you, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And you just want to do something different. Is there anything I've missed, Gav? Please jump in any time.
Yeah, I think you've described it really well.
Are there any other symptoms of it that you would say?
I think I might be suffering from some of these myself, these symptoms.
Right.
And I feel, as you said, the fatigue is the kind of repetition of a very formulaic activity. So
Nice description.
In my case, it might be just like asking questions, talking about stuff, listening to people, broken up with the occasional worksheet. Let's put some words in these gaps and things like that. But it is quite repetitive, I'll be honest with you.
And I think that lowers your mood, doesn't it? It can make you feel a bit low and a bit despondent.
What do you mean by despondent?
I'm not sure. Just that you don't feel like doing things and you've got no motivation and you're very lethargic.
Okay, these are brilliant words. I hope our students or the students listening have got their dictionaries open.
Yeah, you might need to this time. I'm not filtering. I'm just, coming out with everything. I think those are the main ones. It's hard to get out of bed in the morning. It's hard to make yourself, feel that energy. Because I think as a teacher, you've got to bring the energy to the lesson.
I absolutely agree with you. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And if that's hard for you to produce, it's really hard for your students to
I think my students expect it. They expect a lot of energy from me. And I generally do have that. But recently, it's been harder to create that energy.
Yeah. Are you faking it until you make it?
I think I've made it, and perhaps sometimes I have to act a little more happy than I really am.
Oh, that's really sad.
I don't know. Some of the topics are not very interesting, but they're really important for my students. So I have to, bring that enthusiasm for both of us.
Right, yeah. I find, to be honest, actually, the idea of it is hard, and then when I start teaching, I'm fine.
I agree with you, because I sometimes look at my timetable and think, okay, here we go. And then I start and I'm really into it and I'm really enjoying it. And because I just don't know what my students are going to talk about. I don't know what they're going to bring to the lesson. And that's where I get a lot of enthusiasm. But before, I sometimes think, oh, okay, another day.
Yeah. So I think we're both lucky that we actually have students that do energise us, because I think if you have that feeling before the lesson and then when you do actually do the lesson, you've got a very lethargic student, then it makes you feel like you've got a really hard job. But I'm lucky that as soon as I start talking, the student usually says something that picks me up and makes me feel like, oh, this is good. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So it's about finding something that can help you get motivated, isn't it?
Yeah, even if it's that conversation, that meeting somebody online, that exchanging ideas. But I think a lot of students come to us for that energy.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's a good point, and that may be your role to create, but I still find just the fact that they're there at the other side of the screen, or, you know, if it's face to face, just the fact that they're in the room, that's enough sometimes just to make me feel like, okay, this is my time to shine.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, because if we think face-to-face teaching may be more motivating than online teaching.
Is it, do you think? Is it for you?
I think it might be, because I like meeting people and talking face-to-face. You don't get that same sort of connection online.
No, you don't, but I've forgotten what it's like now to be connected other than online. So for me, it's just life is normal if it's online.
That's true. Em, I've got a question for you.
Good.
What motivated you to create an episode of How to Teach and Learn with Gav and Em? No, How to English Teach and Learn with Gav and Em every week for an entire year? How did you keep up that energy and not become fatigued?
Well, I think you had something to do with it, to be honest, because you would start the week by saying to me, right, Em, what's the topic this week? And I would say, oh, I don't know, Gav. And then you would say, well, what about this idea? And I'd say, yeah, I like that. And then I'd spend the week thinking about it. So that was a really good motivation for me to have something like in my mind before we did the actual discussion.
Okay.
And you?
That's a really good answer. What motivated me? I think it's because I wanted to challenge myself and see if I could actually sustain that much work and keep it interesting. And also, I was really inspired by a lot of other podcasts. And I thought, what they do is brilliant, and I want to do something brilliant as well. And I know a fabulous co-host, and so that's why I asked you to kind of help. But yeah, you definitely motivated me as well.
Okay, so what are we learning from this? How can we apply this to our lessons, Gav?
Study buddy.
Yeah, okay.
I really think it helps. Well, that's where I'm going next. I'm really glad you mentioned it. You know what? Some people think that we actually write this stuff first.
Do they?
And then we just read it out.
Really?
It just shows you just how good it is, because you've led me to my next question, which is, how's your studying going?
Ah, right. Well, yeah, it's good. It's probably going better than my teaching in a way, in the terms of enthusiasm for it, because it's early days.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
You've got more energy for it because it's the beginning.
And I'm seeing progress.
Right. Okay. Because I would say I'm feeling a bit fatigued with it all,
already,
to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I think I might have overwhelmed myself with language.
Oh, okay.
You know, I described how I would listen to recordings of people speaking the target language.
Yeah.
It's actually quite tiring to take it all on.
Oh, okay.
So I've kind of taken a page out of your book and I've gone to Duolingo and FunEasyLearn, which I still think is brilliant.
Right,
Getting the vocab. But Duolingo's sort of building the grammar for me very slowly. I'm just taking my time. It's not a competition for me. But I suspect competition is something that might be driving you.
It is, definitely. That we mentioned in that episode when we talked about learning, which was episode 1 of season 2. Go back if you're interested.
How to begin.
How to begin, yes. I really respond well to the gamification of it. So I'm finding it to my detriment sometimes, because I'm realising I'm not even that interested in learning. I want to get up the leaderboard.
What's a leaderboard?
Well, it's this ranking they've got. If you pass so many points or you get so many points, then you get to the top of the leaderboard, and then you get to the next league.
There's a league? Well, like in a football competition.
There's a league. And the top 10 go up and the bottom 10 go down.
Oh.
So it's really getting in like my brain that I want to keep going up. But I should remember it's a learning process, and that I don't just need to click and get the points. It's about learning at the same time. So I'm actually doing a bit of, not so much cheating, but I'm like taking screenshots of the ones I get wrong so I can check them, and then...
Well, that's fine.
kind of is. I hope that I'm learning it. That's my problem. I'm not really absorbing it. I keep having to say, right, just look at it before you go to the next one. Like, just absorb it a bit more.
Are you going back? Because, we've talked about revision. It's really, really important.
Well, it works that as you go forward, you revise. So it's sort of integrated into the system anyway.
Okay.
So I think it is having an effect. It's working, and I'm motivated to do it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really pleased to hear that that's motivating you. Because, like I said, I was feeling a little bit fatigued from it all, just overwhelmed. If you look at language in...
Globally.
Yeah.
No. Holistically? I don't know.
There's just so much of it, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
There's so much of it. You've got
Understatement
prepositions,
of the century.
articles, verbs, nouns.
There's a lot of language.
So it's really important to reduce it down. I found some really good podcasts that are like basic, very simple, very easy to follow. So fortunately, I'm not completely overwhelmed, but I just need to refocus my learning lens.
Have a break. Like you have, when you recognise it, it's good that you do, and then you have to stop for a while and come back to it. And I find that, I learned a long time ago, sometimes it's not good to just keep going. And if you do stop, you come back, you have that fresh perspective, and it sort of goes in a bit more. So I would recommend that, if you're having trouble, then just stop and have a little bit of time out.
That's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Have you got any other advice for students who are feeling fatigued from learning?
Just change it.
I'd say Are
you just asking me a question to then answer it yourself? Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm only joking. Go on.
No, I'm fine with you answering it.
No, I was just thinking, for my students, if they're a bit tired, they should just say to me, Gav, don't give me any homework this week.
Yeah.
But to be honest, half of them don't do the homework anyway.
Well, it's the same difference then, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I agree. I think we're all adults, just say it if that's how you feel. It's the same with in the lesson itself. I hope my students feel that they can stop me at any point and say, time out, this is just too much. I can't do this. So it's hard as a teacher because you haven't got any reassurance or any kind of reassurance that they're enjoying it. You're just assuming they are, and you take their silence to mean keep going with it. But I've heard so many students say to me about other teachers or other lessons, oh, well, yeah, it was terrible, but I was too shy, or I was too polite, or I was too nervous to actually interrupt and say anything. And that's great, that student is telling me that. But then I also think, well, that must be happening to me as well, that somebody at some point is thinking, what is this? I don't want to do this.
You mean the teacher's pushing the student too hard?
Either too hard or just, or just too much information, or, it could be too challenging or boring even. Just whatever the reason. But how often does it happen to you that the student will say, I don't want to do this, or, can we stop for a 5-minute break?
Never.
It just doesn't, does it? And
No.
I don't know why, because it must be in their minds.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So they're just being nice, or they're just being polite, or they're shy, or whatever the reason. But I don't know why we can't have a relationship where we say to each other, actually, I just need to stop and not speak or not do anything for a minute.
These are very complicated dynamics. I think traditionally the teacher is in charge and the student does what the teacher says, but I think these days it should be led by the student, really.
I like it when it is. Personally, I would be quite surprised and also probably a bit upset if it happened, honestly. If you're in the middle of an activity and the student says, oh, this is too hard, or can we stop this, it's boring. But I think you've got to learn without that sort of feedback. You've got to just pick up the cues otherwise, which I feel I'm quite good at, hopefully. Even if their eye contact just starts going, or they just start looking a little bit glazed, facial, got to read the facial expressions, which you can just then cut the activity short or whatever, change it, make it easier.
Yeah, it's really important to know when to abandon a task because the student's bored or maybe it's just the wrong topic or something. But I think these days teachers need to be really flexible and ready to change the topic, have some materials ready. That's why I love teaching online, because if the conversation goes a particular way, I can pull out a worksheet and say, well, let's have a look at some of that language in detail. Why don't you create some sentences for me using this format?
So you've got that variety at your fingertips.
Because I think it's quite strange, the teacher entering the classroom and saying, right, today we're going to study this. I find that quite weird.
It is a bit, yeah. But a lot of the time the students don't come with any ideas, so you do need to present them with something.
I'm not sure that's true, because with my students, as you know, we generally chat a lot and then we see which direction the conversation goes. Or I say, is there anything that you want to ask me?
Yeah.
Is there, did you see a TV program? Were you reading something? Was there a good article on? Did you hear a good podcast? Was there something that you wanted to talk about? And the students do have some ideas.
So it grows from that. I think you've hit on that, really, because if you say to students, well, what do you want to do today? The answer will be, don't know, nothing. But you're right, you get them to start talking naturally about something, and it will inevitably go in a direction, or there'll be some language there that's missing or a gap. That's your opportunity, isn't it? And I think then it seems like a very organic process, and it's a very natural way of teaching.
I think that requires a very confident teacher.
Yeah, definitely.
With a lot of resources. Up your sleeve.
Yeah, it does. And like you say, online suits very well that kind of style.
Yeah.
And it's a bit maybe scary as a teacher, but it definitely keeps it fresh, and it definitely will stop you feeling fatigued, I think,
That's
in that
very
way.
True. It doesn't have to be only online. I think if you've got a good memory and you know how to, pluck a game out of your mind that's based around this activity.
Okay, I find that quite stressful, though.
Well, some teachers can do that.
But that could be a good way of looking at it, as now we're sort of doing a lot online. Just think about challenging yourself to change the task, or to use sort of different methods that you wouldn't use usually. But yeah, coming back to the students not really having the confidence to say, I'm not enjoying this, or this is too hard. I think that's also the language you need to teach them, because they probably understand this is boring is a bit too direct, and that's why they don't say it to us. So that could be another aspect of it. And to just have the conversation that this is what you need to tell me if you're not interested. I say sometimes, you might not like this, or you might not find it interesting, but then I feel like I'm giving them the opportunity to doubt my confidence as well. I don't want to come across as an inexperienced or an unconfident teacher. So it's a fine line for me of we're doing this and I'm dictating it to you, or, this is what I think you might like, but please tell me if it's not. And then I feel I'm all indecisive and I'm not, focused, and they might see it as unprofessional.
But you don't think they'll interrupt you and say, you're right, this is boring, I want to do something else?
No, I don't think they will, which is why I like what you're saying about this different technique of them coming up with the idea without even realising it.
Yeah.
And then you can't really be accused of doing something boring because it was their idea.
Yeah.
It seems like a good solution.
I think what's good is to say to the student, before the next lesson, send me something that you want to discuss. And it gives them, so if you're teaching weekly, it gives them 6 days to send you something.
Exactly.
And then you can both be very focused on it, or the group could be very focused on this particular activity. It sounds like lots of fun.
Which is what motivated me with the podcast. As you said, circling back to that, you would tell me on a Monday, the topic, and I would be like, okay, for the whole week thinking about the topic. And then you've already got that in your mind. You're not just going in cold.
Yeah.
It's nice. Good tip.
Thank you very much for clarifying. We do need to mention that a ton, is it a ton?
Is what a ton, Gav?
100.
A ton.
Is it 4 monkeys?
What? Huh?
What's another? A century of, no, 100, yes.
4 score, no, 5 score. 5 score. 20. What is the expression? We're really bodging this. Do you know that? This is terrible.
You're using some brilliant words today. Bodging. When's the last time you said bodging?
I really don't remember.
That's brilliant. Okay, you've bodged this one up.
You have bodged it up.
100 people are following us on YouTube.
Really?
Yes.
The YouTube.
On the YouTube.
That's amazing. 100.
We've got 100 people.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it? So
Yeah.
if you listening, if you're listening to this, then you could be looking at a picture of Gav and Em doing exactly the same thing, just speaking, on YouTube with subtitles.
Yeah, amazing.
Real subtitles, made by human beings.
See, this is motivating.
It is, isn't
This
it?
is definitely what I need right now.
It's pretty exciting. Just imagine 100 people, Em. 100 people.
No, stop, because
Okay,
now
no.
I'm getting worried. But this, yeah, I was thinking, like, just put pressure on yourself, include other people and make them aware of what you're doing, and then you feel like you can't get fatigued because you've got to keep going with
These
it.
people are depending on you to release an episode of How to English Teach and Learn with Gav and Em.
High quality conversation.
Yeah, monthly. They're just waiting for it. And that's only on YouTube. Imagine the other people listening on iTunes and Spotify and Anchor and all of those other wonderful places.
Yeah, yeah. So what are we saying, really? It's like, it's nice to have some expectation in life and people that are interested in what you're doing. But also, because we've gone to once a month, it's important to recognise when you're doing too much.
That is true. That is true.
You got to get it right, haven't you?
Absolutely. But I like that idea. People are looking forward to meeting you online, meeting you in the classroom. Your teacher's there, the students are there, your classmates are there, your podcast listeners are there, your YouTube visitors are there. Everybody's there for each other, and we're depending on each other to keep this ship floating.
Ship. You said ship.
It's definitely a ship.
Okay, yeah. So that's what you need to draw on, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to just somehow get yourself there and feel positive. And the fact that those people are there in that is enough, you know, that they've arrived. They've turned up. That's a good thing.
Yeah, we definitely nailed this one. You know what? I don't feel fatigued at all anymore.
Good. So are we going to leave this episode feeling positive now?
I am definitely feeling positive.
Right, good. So that's the main thing. Talk it out. Find a study buddy.
Yeah.
Find someone to just express it, because that's another thing. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's a blog, even if it's a diary, just write how you feel down.
Yeah, that's it.
Use some language to try and list all those words that describe being tired.
I think I might have to do like a dictionary thing for all the words used in this. It was really
You
complicated.
said a few. You said exhausted, shattered.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it?
I said lethargic.
Yeah.
Cream crackered.
Okay.
How about that one?
That is a good one. Worn out.
Worn out. I think you said worn out.
I've already said worn
Yeah.
out, haven't I? All right, maybe we should stop there.
I don't know. Yeah, let's exhaust this list of exhaustion adjectives.
It's an exhaustive list.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Em,
Yes, Gav.
you and me here again. Don't forget, could be YouTube.
What could be?
Well, they'll find us.
Oh, okay.
So they can find us on YouTube, on their favourite podcast supplier. We're gonna
Supplier.
All right.
Supplier?
All right.
Platform.
Could be YouTube. Could be their favourite podcast platform. Instagram, Facebook, the world.
Anywhere you get your podcasts. See how professional that sounded?
was good.
Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find us.
See you next week.
Not next week, Gav.
See you later.
See you later, Gav. Bye-bye.
Bye.